don't nickel and dime them, but there's got to be some better mechanism.
Well, the challenge, so this is actually interesting.
Price to the guest,
so Stuart and I spend a lot of time in the condo world, condo hotel world with an association called OPMA, which is the On-Site Property Managers Association. And one of the challenges that I would say 99% of these properties have is when the developer created the association to sell the units, they did not at all think about the remaining business unit of the on-site property management. And because of that, there is a lot of challenges on usage rights of the name of the property. There's challenges around access, who gets access to the resort amenities, how is access handled, what's measured as far as overuse or abuse. Airbnb didn't exist when most of these things were built. So there wasn't a huge do-it-yourself VRBO market. Because even prior to Airbnb, most VRBO was offsite property managers marketing themselves. And because of all of this, there are more offsite property management companies popping up that are fly-by-night operations that are actually stealing units from the on-site property manager and are not being completely ethical in the way they market it. And that's actually causing huge complexities of problems with TripAdvisor, with social media, because everyone sees it as, I went to Reunion Resort. Well, you went to Joe's apartment at Reunion Resort through an unsanctioned way of getting there. And so you weren't serviced by the hospitality staff that were servicing Reunion Resort. You shouldn't have gone to the pool because you didn't have rights to do that.
And I think that really brings up my point on the topic too, is that we've got this idea that to provide value, we'll say you can't use the amenities unless you pay this additional fee. But how do you actually enforce that? I mean, you've got a big resort out here, the Westin Kierland has
a lot of them have mechanisms for that. A lot of them will do wristbands or swipe cards with locks of gates and things like that. So I think logistically they've got that figured out.
But at what point did the logistical costs and the labor involved in managing it logistically offset any additional revenue that you're actually getting?
But those are all valid points, but they have nothing to do with resort fees and drip pricing.
But they do.
What is the minimum? No. Hey, what is the price the consumer has to pay? What is the minimum price that they have to pay to stay at that property? That's the question. In the rest of the world, on every other form of product sold to consumers.
The consumer, after the business operated, there's a lot more complexity. And my fear is if we tarnish all resort fees with the same brush and go at it with a hatchet and say, let's just ban them, there's a large section of our industry, the condo hotel market, even though it's the minority that are not the bad actors, that are going to be really, really seriously impacted by that.
I find myself agreeing with Robert here. I have to agree with Robert.
The topic is not banning resort fees. The topic is drip pricing.
Right.
Flat out. And you say it's a mandatory fee, you have to include it. Bottom line, you're done.
If you go to Expedia and you search, you're seeing the room rate only. They don't include the resort fee as the total price. And so, to Robert's point, you do all this comparison shopping, you think, and then you get to it and you find out that there's actually this massive difference between the top three that are supposedly the same rate, because one has a $30 resort fee, one has a $20 facility fee, and one doesn't have a fee at all. And so you may have
but that's Expedia. Expedia has chosen to handle fees. Yes. Hold up. Expedia has chosen how they want to show fees. And
it gives them a competitive advantage to do it that way.
No.
And now they're beginning to realize the reason they're dimming people isn't because they don't want resorts. They make less money when people jump from Expedia and go see a rate, and then there's a tacked on fee. It's a math. That's when it makes math
it's a behavioral. It's a behavioral issue because resort fees, drip pricing works. And the problem is that drip pricing works because if one group does it, they have an advantage because they are artificially presenting a lower.
Well, let's change the narrative then. Let's target drip pricing and not resort fees.
Oh no, exactly. That's what the issue is.
Every headline you read,
people are talking
about resort fees are evil. That's not the case. Resort fees aren't inherently bad.
Hold on.
That's the process. That's what they're called by the industry. So,
but if we reframe the whole problem, right, we're always trying to say, how can we regain share from Airbnb? Have you seen the fees that Airbnb tax on at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
It's the same problem, actually, if you're trying to compare to Airbnbs and you have the same price, except theirs are wildly different, whereas in the hotel industry, resort fees or drip pricing or whatever you want to call it, it's typically a difference of, $10 to $20 from property to property. You can look at a 3-night stay in an Airbnb and have the difference from what you thought you were going to pay on the first page be off by $500 or more once you compare the final fees. And there is no way on Airbnb to make that comparison. So why don't we take this as an opportunity for the hotel industry to be transparent and use that as a lever against things like Airbnb? But on the other hand, then what's the real point of the fee? Because frankly, I have to disagree. All this like sheltering things for facility fees and stuff like that, in my mind, that has nothing to do with it, because you could have just taken that out of the room right at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
So I think that what it really is them trying to compete in the sort order of ascending and descending pricing because we're showing it as the room rate. Now, Booking.com, the rumor, I don't have a news article yet to back this up. Maybe it's out there, but the rumor is that Booking.com is going to start displaying their pricing inclusive of taxes, which I'm sure is their way of including fees, which also brings up a lot of questions around parity, because then is Booking.com going to say, okay, this price is displaying higher than Expedia's price, who's not including taxes and resort fees? And it's hard to say what's going to happen with that move.
And that's why drip pricing has been outlawed everywhere, because those who don't provide the total price, which is the minimum price that must be paid by the consumer, have an advantage, and it forces all the others to do it. Case in point, MGM had big resort fees, Caesars for a few years, didn't do it. They're going, no, we aren't nickel and diming and stop it. It's a bad product. They had to cave. They were uncompetitive, and they ran the analyses and went, we are losing business because of it. And they go, well, yeah, people don't like it, and you're bringing in the pricing later. And they're going, right, but we have to get the person further down the funnel because they're going with the property that looks like it's $30 less per night when it's really $10 more.
Well, I've said my piece, so I'll yield the floor to Stephanie if there's a way for you to do that. I see she has a comment on this. Lauren, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, what happens with a raised hand?
Jump in.
If you click it, what happens?
What I'm saying, we can't. No, I want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go out. You guys add her in, okay? So I'm going to step out, and I'm going to go over and you guys add her in, okay? I'll be back in as a moderator. So bye-bye.
All right.
All right. So I'll click.
I just clicked.
Oh, her request
no request pending. She gave up.
Someone got it.
I clicked it. I don't know. Yeah.
So I
like how we don't communicate and everyone just tries to accept it.
I have a question for Stuart and Ed, by the way. Yep. I've not done work with condotels. I understand the business. I'm certainly familiar with it. We've talked about it here on the show a bit. So I understand the business to some degree. Here's a question that I don't understand. Mm-hmm. Most guests who are going to go to a condotel are hey, Stephanie, how are you?
Hey.
Welcome.
Good, Tim.
So most people who are going to go to a condotel want to use the pool. Most people who are going to go to a condotel are going to want to use the various amenities, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why is the assumption that the fee isn't just built into the rate? And what prevents distributing the rate in a way that just looks like a hotel rate and you're just charging more for it? You know what I mean? Because I think there are two different factors here. There is what you have to do from a business perspective to make sure the right people get paid.